During the week, I theory crafted a new way to play Lurrus, shifting from an Esper shell into using red to splash a more consistent combo with Underworld Breach Brain Freeze over something like Bowmaster Twister, and also getting to cut Bowmaster for the more powerful Dreadhorde Arcanist. The format is in a great spot to be playing Pyroblast, so this is a direction that Lurrus decks might go to go over the top. Welcome back, Vintage Gamers, to a Saturday challenge after our Friday challenge was a disaster. I wouldn't say it's a complete disaster. We learned a lot, but we did do a lot of losing. Today, we're going to try a different avenue of approach to the format. This is a deck I had posted earlier in the week. I didn't really understand why people weren't moving towards a deck like this. I always thought Grixis Frog Breach was a deck that was very powerful, and then it had some struggles with Leyline of the Void. But this version now that you have Frog doesn't really have that issue. If they bring in Leyline, you just play a normal Frog game plan and we win that way. So this is kind of a different take on, the classic Lurrus control deck that everybody is playing, the Frog, Esper, or Blue-Black Lurrus. This one is going to be Grixis Lurrus. So what we get from Grixis is we get Underworld Breach as a nice little combo kill. Brain Freeze has some additional play across the format right now, and so the splash is very light. It's one Breach, one Brain Freeze. You're already probably playing Petal and Lotus in your deck anyways because you need to cast Frog in your Wasteland mana base. So it's a pretty easy splash to play a powerful combo, and a combo that I like a lot more than Bowmaster Wheels. Dreadhorde Arcanist is legitimately a very powerful magic card. It's been not seeing as much play recently just because red decks were out of favor, but this card is banned in Legacy for a reason, so you get to play Dreadhorde Arcanist. And then Pyroblast is at an all-time high. There's Tinker running around. There's obviously other frogs running around. Pyroblast should be making its comeback. Also quite good against Okos, and Show and Tells and stuff. So red actually does give you some nice little additions here. Besides that, this is just the list that I put together. This is kind of my first attempt at the list. I could definitely see things changing in the future, but for now, kind of just taking lessons learned from other successful Lurrus control shells with 6 forces, Dig Through Time's Delves, Saga, Wasteland Strip Mines, the very current removal suite. I found myself wanting a bolt from time to time, so I put the bolt in as well. Yeah, full 4 Fatal Push plus Bolt should give us a pretty nice set of removal spells. Obviously, Pyroblast doubles a removal spell when you're playing against Lurrus. Sideboard, I still think Leyline of the Void is the best call as the anti-dredge of choice, but you could totally play Ravenous Traps here, and then you won't lose your Lurrus. I just don't think Lurrus matters in the dredge matchup, so I don't mind losing it for my preferred anti-dredge card. You are a Demonic Tutor deck still, so you have access to 1 Tabernacle, 1 Null Rod. Makes you very resilient. I do like having a Shattering Spree here as a tutorable target to go with my Dreadhorde Arcanist against decks that play lots of artifacts. Not the best Shattering Spree replicate deck, but still pretty good. Consign to Memory, I think, has the most versatility for this deck in terms of hitting a variety of things. So we're going to play Consign to Memory over something like Steel Sabotage. Flusterstorm, additional way to combat Doomsday and those style of decks. Stern Scolding is a bit of a mirror breaker for Lurrus that Andreas has been touting recently, so I tried it and it was pretty good, so we're going to try it again today. And then obviously Mind Break Trap. So I will see you in round 1 of a Saturday Vintage Challenge. Okay, here we go. Round 1 Vintage Challenge with our fair Grixis Lurrus deck. I mean, not the strongest hand, obviously, but against a no Lurrus reveal, keeping a force has additional value. If our opponent, unfortunately, plays Bizarre and goes mulliganing, then obviously we're looking at something like needing Brain Freeze to play the game, but we'll see what we can come up with here. All right, our opponent is back, and they kept a 7. Just going to go with Fetch Land Go. Something that I kind of wish was in this deck is a Surveil land, but the mana base is a bit of a mess, in my opinion, when you start getting to these 3-color Lurrus decks. Some people even, might play a Mox Pearl in this deck just so you can cast your Lurrus better, but I don't think that's necessary. Don't know what's going on with the opponent. Looks like maybe they're playing another match of Magic or something. All right. I'm trying to my best to start and stop the recording here so that my people watching on YouTube don't have too much downtime, but my opponent is just taking 30 seconds between each action, so it's been a little weird. Doesn't say that they have multiple queues going, but maybe they have a second account or something. Don't know. The good news is we do have like a bunch of draw spells in this deck with Ponders and Ancestrals and stuff, so we at least have things to draw into here if we have to use our force on their turn 1 show and tell or whatever. All right, like I wouldn't say our hand is good, but it's pretty hard to pass up a forcible hand against the person who does not reveal Lurrus. Like if they reveal Lurrus, Force of Will not so useful because they don't really have strong cards to counter typically. But if opponent is not on Lurrus, it means they're doing something degenerate usually. So that's a pretty good hand. 4 mana on turn 1, and your A+B combo piece. And you have A and B. Do you also have a counter spell? Well, I don't know. It didn't perform well, and it certainly didn't perform well in the hands of everyone else. So the deck went like 2 and 15 among 4 pilots. I thought deck was pretty good, but might not be. Another Oath, but I don't have a blue card, so I just lose to the follow-up play. Not much to do about this besides draw better, which has kind of been a reoccurring theme recently. I mean, maybe I could mulligan my hand, but am I really supposed to mulligan my Force of Will hand? Doesn't really feel like I should. But I do have a lot of fluff draws here. If my opponent just jams AB combo, and I don't have a second counter, I just lose. It's not even like I have something to flashback with Lurrus. It's not even like I have something to flashback with Underworld Breach. What are we doing? I just want to play our match of Magic out. It's like kind of funny because I don't think the match is going to last very long. I think the game will be over in 2 turns, but it will take 7, 8, 10 minutes to play our 2 turns out. Like my opponent is playing cost on upkeep here, which means they're probably Vampiric Tutoring. And then they'll show and tell in Atraxa. So, no, I didn't have any interest to going to Vegas. I don't really engage in Magic outside of Eternal formats at the moment. Obviously, I have in the past. So there wasn't a lot of reason for me to go to Vegas. See, like, well, it was 2 minutes ago that I told my opponent exactly the plan that they're going to, you know, do in this game just by the fact that my opponent was paying mana for costs. And we are now finally like shouldn't this have happened? Oh, this is actually probably slightly better for me, but similar idea. Maybe they had the flash in their hand and they tutored an Atraxa. Not the best looking. Oh, I guess this is still pretty good. So now they have Show and Tell, Black Lotus, Atraxa. Ugh. I don't know. When I look at this, my opponent, you know, they don't have any choices, right? They take their Beseiju, they take their Show and Tell, they take their Black Lotus, and they take Atraxa. So this is not a choice you have to make. And then you just instantly make the same play. And I just don't know why it takes so long. It's the Oath deck is very scripted. Yeah, but I mean, the thing says that he's not in, that they are not in any other matches. But maybe they have a second account. It's possible. I'm a little grumpy, obviously, so please forgive me. This Atraxa looks a lot better than the last Atraxa. It's gonna get Force Atraxa Strip Mine Oath, I would assume. Actually, not actually the worst. But I guess they can still play another Oath this turn because they have floating mana, so it's pretty doomed. Yeah, I know. Sometimes I wish there was a different queue for people who are willing to play fast or don't have connection issues or something. Obviously, there's not enough vintage players for that. But sometimes, you know, chess has different time limits, different formats based on time limit. I would love to have a rapid Magic the Gathering. Though, to be fair, last night I was the one taking most of the clock, so, you know, a little bit of here, a little bit of there. So I've drawn Pyroblast. My opponent took Atraxa, Force, Oath, and Strip Mine. So it means they still have a Force backup here. I'm kind of a little punished for taking this C, because now I actually don't have Breach, Flash, back Pyroblast on the next turn. Kind of interesting how a small fetch land like that can hurt you. The reason I took a C was so that I could cast Lurrus. That being said, I think we're just dead anyways, so it probably doesn't matter much what we choose to do. But maybe we can tempo our opponent out or something. I don't know. I don't actually believe the rope on Arena helps speed up play at all, so don't think that's the solution that I'm looking for. I mean, they just shuffle the Gaia's Blessing, but they just let it resolve. Okay. They shuffled the Gaia's Blessing back to the bottom of their deck, and they have an Atraxa in their hand. So, like, the Gaia's Blessing is in the bottom 10 cards, and they could hit this, I don't know, like right before that, they could hit the Atraxa. So there's some weird things that could happen here. They lost a crit flip. They're at 5. Nope, it was in the top 10 cards or so. So I know that they have Force, Strip Mine, Atraxa, Beseiju. Now they're gonna have Force, Show it, maybe Flusterstorm, Show and Tell. Wait, they hit the Gaia's Blessing again? Did they show? Oh, they fetched after. They fetched after the They fetched after the trigger. So that was all that rambling I just talked about was actually a lie. So they could actually Show and Tell Citadel. They only have 5 life, so probably not too strong. They took Flusterstorm, Show and Tell, Tropical, Citadel, and Oath. Makes sense. So now they have Force and Flusterstorm backup for anything I choose to do, and actually don't have a red source now. I guess like I mean, if I get a Black Lotus, they're just going to negate it. I don't think I have another way to tempo another turn, unfortunately. Like, obviously, a Black Lotus lets me go Breach, Pyroblast, hit the Atraxa attack for lethal, but that's just never going to resolve versus the third Atraxa trigger. Sadly. Don't know if I have any other recourse in this game. Does a frog do anything? Can't even recast the frog if it gets countered, unfortunately, because I don't have another mana. So does that make it worth holding frog for force? Probably not. Technically this blocks, but blocking is not very good. And then life gain outweighs my attack. Yeah. I think the writing is on the wall here. They also are playing Gaia's Blessing, so they can just get 2 Atraxa triggers here. All right. I'm just willing to concede here instead of wasting my own time, though maybe I should just make them use all their timeout and timeout from the match. But I kind of want to just play Magic. So here's a point where maybe Spell Snare would be better than Stern Scolding, because you can actually hit the Oath of Druids. Kind of these cards are not great. Flusterstorm comes in for push. I guess Trap is okay. Don't really like Null Rod. Sign technically can counter Oath for a turn or Atraxa trigger. So there's something to be said about that, but is it better than any of my other cards? I think Lightning Bolt is actually fine. It's not great, but it does kind of do a similar buy time thing and also lets me play certain ways through Breach. I mean, maybe this island is worse than a consign, but it doesn't really feel like that's the case either. Might just roll like this. Interesting hand. I mean, like, we can take out a draw engine or an island for a consign. I just like don't know if that's really the kind of game plan we're trying to play. Is there like a card worse? I'm not really sure. Yeah, I mean, I have a Bolt. I kind of think Bolt does a similar thing to Consign, but also has like additional utility. So I could play Lurrus Lotus here, but there's kind of no reason to do that when I have all of this counter magic to back it up on the next attempt. So better off just pondering with our fetch land and leaving up a bunch of counter magic for their 7-card hand. Wasteland DT Spell Pierce. I kind of want to draw. The problem is like Lurrus Lotus is not even doing anything, right? DT gets me Underworld Breach and then theoretically wins the game off of it. So, but if I have to crack my thing, I lose my land. So maybe I should just take DT and then if we can draw Wasteland, draw Wasteland. So it's probably just that. Just look for a breach kill here. Just gonna pass though and hold up Spell Pierce and DT, or sorry, Spell Pierce and Pyro off these. Sure, I guess they get to look at my hand. What do we need? Like, what are the requirements for DT with a Lotus to be lethal? We would need a total of 6 mana, and we would have 6 mana plus 1, and we would need to be able to flash back a DT without losing a Lotus. So we would need 3 other cards, and we have that. So I feel like it's just lethal next turn with 1 counterspell backup. If we have the land, which we are going to have the land. We could, of course, wait on this as well. Does that really make any sense? I guess like having 1 counterspell backup is... but it's also not bad. I still have follow-up plans of Lurrus if my Breach or Lotus is not negated, which is not super likely to be negated from the... I haven't checked an Oath list in a little while, but at least when I was playing Oath, I didn't have a ton of negations. This is 2 negations. Okay. Never really liked... I mean, you kind of need negation because your combo doesn't win on the same turn, but... I mean, they know my hand, but they know my whole hand, so they maybe passed with the knowledge there. I could just buy Lurrus and pass with still holding up 2 counter spells. I don't really feel like any of those are actually things I want to do, though. I like just casting Demonic. I guess I could cast Demonic and pass as well. And then next turn I'll have more mana. And I still have counter spells on their turn. That might just be better. We're not like pressured at the moment. Let's try that. Could also like, if they fetch, if they like go for a combo here, we counter it. We can always hit them with wastelands and stuff. So like if they play an Oath, we just let Oath resolve and go for the kill. So that's also really nice. Show and tell. Seems like a fairly easy just Pyroblast. Obviously, this could be bait, but that's okay too. We still have an extra counterspell on our turn. Not a great draw for what we're trying to do. This looks like a win to me. I mean, we can beat Blessing with the Brain Freeze, counter our own Brain Freeze trick, or we could just bolt our opponent. All of these things are winning. Let's see. Do I have enough bolts, I guess, is a question. I need 6 bolts. I mean, I can just bolt them. Bolting is fun. I don't get to bolt very often. Let's do a bolt. I think they're just making me play it out after I didn't make them play it out. There's fair. Okay. But yeah, for those who don't know, you don't actually need Bolt to beat Gaia's Blessing. So what you do is you make a bunch of mana, and then you Brain Freeze your opponent. And then when the Gaia's Blessing triggers, you can counter your own Brain Freeze your opponent again, make sure they mill to 0, and then cast Ancestral Recall. All of this with the Gaia's Blessing on the stack. So you don't actually need a Bolt at all. Which is what one of the reasons Andreas was actually maybe we board out Bolt. I was thinking Bolt has like some additional utility with like Oko and the 1/1s, but maybe Consign does a similar thing in buying us time. It also has Replicate. We do have Pyroblast, which technically kills Atraxas, so we could always consign Atraxa trigger and do that. Maybe that's true. It is always fun to get a Bolt kill though. I don't really feel like I want more consigns though. I still think like I'd rather have a basic island. Oof. This hand does not have the requisite counter magic to beat Oath deck. I'm gonna mulligan. My opponent kept another 7. Pyroblast is a really nice one in this matchup, though. Another big upside of playing red. We got a double Moxen opener. Oath as well. Oath with hidden and an orchard. Okay. I mean, if they just have a counterspell backup for a play here, it's quite poor for me. Top is really good though. Helps them play through counterspells. I drew another land. I have double hard cast at the moment, which is nice. Maybe that lets me save my dig through time to rebuy. Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a spot where top is extremely strong when you have Moxen to go with it. As a PO player, I know. I almost played some PO today just because a little tired from last night. Want to maybe autopilot a little bit. I think there's something to be said about a Tinker PO deck with Teferis right now. Feels like it would actually play pretty well into a bunch of the things that people are choosing to register. But PO still has all the problems inherent in PO, so maybe it's not worth it. But when I see True Hero top 4ing tournaments with Esper Tinker with White Plume Adventures, I feel like it's doable. All right, so we have an Oath with maybe Counterspell backup. Let me bring that list back up and see if there's Flusterstorms. There are 2 Flusterstorms in the deck. Oh, there are 2 Flusterstorms in the deck, and they looks like maybe they waited or they spun and found it, which makes me hesitant to just go alternate cast or to go hard cast on negation. So I think I just have to pitch cast here. So just gonna pitch cast. It's like very unfortunate that I have to lose my dig through time, but I don't see a way around it. That's a pretty good draw though. Are we giving me an orchard token? I guess an orchard token and then play another oath is still really good for them, so maybe it doesn't matter. This is a case where lightning bolt would be a lot better than consign, right? So I wasteland my opponent's orchard. I have a 1/1. They play a new oath, and then I could always like bolt my spirit token. And it's more than a time walk. So it's kind of one of the scenarios where I was, thinking there was some versatility in having a bolt, but obviously it's not like something you're trying to play towards or for. It's just something that can happen. I think the key to winning is to never draw the White Plume Adventure unless you are against Lurrus. Like, I lost to the White Plume Adventure deck last night on Doomsday, and the key was my opponent never drew a White Plume Adventure. They just simply played Hull Breachers and Tinkers and Counters. It's a little frustrating, but, I mean, the White Plume Adventure is clearly good against Lurrus, right? So they just have a follow-up. Abrupt Decay on my Black Lotus. Sure. I'm gonna act like I have a blue spell. I don't think that does anything. I think that is irrelevant. Demonic Tutor. I still need to be worried about a show and tell, right? If I Demonic Tutor and my opponent show and tells... Oh, you know what? I messed up. So what I should have done is played this Underground Sea, and then I could theoretically Demonic Tutor for a Breach, and I could put the fetch land in off of the show and tell, and Pyroblast the Atraxa. That's not even good. Like, why am I even care? Why do I even care? I still think it's probably slightly better sequencing in the worst case scenario. I should have attacked, obviously. I just clicked through it. And obviously, like, the way they play the initial turns, they look like they might have Fluster, so playing a Demonic Tutor into a Fluster is not very good either. So there's like a bunch of things here that makes me want to not play this Demonic Tutor. The problem is this Pyroblast isn't... the Pyroblast is nice to have, but it doesn't counter oaths, So if my opponent just jams an oath, it doesn't do anything. And then I'm on the back foot. But we're a little bit on the... It's weird. It's unfortunate because they just have a Sensei's Top, so we're a little bit on the back foot because they had multiple Mox in Sensei's Top. So they have like some ability to card quality selection off the top of their library. Though they haven't fetched in a while, so they're kind of spinning the same cards over and over again. And by fetched in a while, I mean they haven't fetched at all. So they still have seen... I think some of these are still the same cards that they've been spinning the whole time. This is a spot where I really wish we had the Surveil land, huh? To get some value. I might crack one of these just because I don't really want to draw more lands. But I do still want to have them for Ponders. So. My opponent drew an Ancestral Recall, tapping them out of blue. Okay, yeah, that's a Pyroblast target. So we can either DT for an Ancestral of our own, or we can DT for Breach again. Because next turn we have the requisite mana to... No, do we not have the requisite? So if I DT for Breach here, then on the next turn I have Lotus, I have Breach, and then 2 mana I have Freeze, or DT for Freeze, but then I actually don't have enough to get the Lotus back. So I don't actually have a Breach kill with this one because I don't have as much mana as I did on the last time. So I can't play the Brain Freeze right away. So in this case, is it just Ancestral? My opponent clearly doesn't have a negation or a mental misstep. I'm just going to take Ancestral Recall. Obviously, there's a lot of bad cards to draw off this Ancestral, though, so maybe there's some good reasons not to. Your swag? Wouldn't it be you stealing my swag? Confusing. All right, well, I hope my opponent doesn't untap and show and tell on Atraxa, but... That's pretty bad for me. They've just had minimal mana, all gas. All right. Show and tell, Flusterstorm, Oath, Besage. I mean, so they get to go land Oath here, and then I have Saga Time Walk, and that's not very good here. Misty Oath, Show and tell, Flusterstorm. Oh, they're not going to play the Oath because they're going to hold up Flusterstorm. Interesting. I don't think I agree with that line at all. I mean, I did not really draw the right magic card. I guess it buys us a lot of time. It's not like we have a good Saga target, though. We don't have like a top. I mean, Dreadhorde Arcanist is quite strong. You're playing Bowmaster. Bowmaster is a lot more embarrassing than Dreadhorde Arcanist. We don't have a cage, no. I don't really like cage in my breach deck, and I also don't really think I need to respect Oath that much. I mean, they can't Flusterstorm this, so I assume they just let it resolve. Buy this. I still don't have anything going for me, though, right? Like, I don't actually have anything that does anything. I only have one breach in my deck. Hardcast Force. Isn't Hardcast Force really bad? Well, I guess I can play Lurrus for free and buy back a Lurrus. Or buy back a Lotus. I won't really be able to resolve this Force Flow Fluster, though, no matter what, right? Unless I... Yeah, no, because they always play the first spell. So we need to, like, draw really well. Probably. Maybe they'll force this Lurrus or something. Pitching Flusterstorm. I mean, we're also losing if they do that, so maybe it doesn't matter. So my opponent gets to spin and look at 6 cards at least, and then untap an Oath. And then I don't really have a lethal attack, so I need to draw a good spell. I don't really have things I can search for either. I can get a Mox probably. Normally the Saga just gets Lotus, and if it doesn't get Lotus, it gets Petal. But I have both of those. All right, so my opponent spins. They're trying to... Okay, they didn't like their top card, so now they get to go look at 3 fresh ones with a fetch land. My opponent just had a bunch of bangers in this game, huh? It's a little unfortunate these were on-color Mox Jet and Emerald as well. Why isn't this list playing Bauble? Because Bauble's not a good magic card. I don't like Bauble. I don't include Bauble in any deck except for PO, because I think the artifact matters in PO. Like, what does Bauble do? Nothing. It's just a useless card that makes me counter all my own spells. Don't like that card. They're spinning? It's kind of interesting. Maybe they're afraid to go Oath because I could have a cage underneath my Saga. And they used up Replicate on a Black Lotus this game. Oh, Mishra's Bauble? It's just a low impact card that and you only have one Saga. I don't think it's good deck building to play a Mishra's Bauble. Again, like I'd play Mishra's Bauble in a deck that cares about Metalcraft, but it wins games though. It does not win games. So my opponent is going to go Oath with Fluster here, I assume. And there's no point in me forcing it because they have Fluster. 2, 3, 4. Okay. I'm going to make a construct. Time Walk would have been a pretty good draw, but we've already used Time Walk. We've already used Ancestral DT Time Walk, so we've used a lot of our good draws in this game. All right, top deck. Scalding Tarn. That's about how I've been drawing the last few days. I mean, I guess I should have used this Black Lotus and replayed Black Lotus so I would have more mana up. My bad. 1, 2, 3. And I wouldn't have to play this land. Yeah, again, that's my fault. This is almost lethal attack, which is kind of funny. Man, I miss Fort Urza Saga so much. No spin. Oath. Traxa. Force Time Walk DT Portal to Phyrexia. All right, well, I lost. Oh. My opponent did the opposite of Brick. They hit literally all bangers. So I would have an additional 2 mana if I had played my turn correctly. Let's see if that comes back to bite me at all as well. But I think they have Hardcast Force, or they have Force anyways, right? So why did we not Hardcast Force on Oath against known Flusterstorm? They pitched Tinker. They just had everything. All right. I guess I should have made my opponent play out game 1. Try to get him on clock. Now they have an Abrupt Decay to kill a Breach. Actually, I guess they might. I don't think we're technically lost here at the moment. A top deck Breach still wins through their current cards. I mean, they're not clocking out at this point. It takes 3 attacks. It's not exactly a thing that they can do. They can go. Oh, I guess they actually do have it beat. They just gotta go Oko. They should just go Oko, turn off my Lurrus, and then hold up Abrupt Decay for my Breach. I already used Dig in this game. Oh, they have a Gaia's Blessing in their deck, so we can't Brain Freeze them out. I mean, I guess it's just Gush. You know they still have Flusterstorm as well. No, I mean I still have a lethal breach kill. Even if they kill my breach, I have Lurrus to replay it. Like if I draw breach, I'm pretty sure I win this game. Like they have an Abrupt Decay in their hand, but I just don't understand. They needed to play their Oko, turn off my Lurrus, and then hold up Abrupt Decay for breach, and I could never win the game. But they didn't choose to do that, so now I have a shot. Oh, they have another counterspell. They drew a second Flusterstorm. Okay, now they're gonna kill the Lurrus. That's fine. Okay, so if I draw breach, I still win. No, they had a second. They drew a second Flusterstorm. I see. Okay, well, I guess that's the reason I did not play Oko. So they had enough mana to do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. I mean, I still get to go another turn, but I don't think that matters. Opponent reanimates my Lurrus. I mean, I had outs, but my draws were just not enough. Yeah, I guess maybe if I made my opponent play out game 1, we would have won on time. Oh, I have 5 minutes on my clock too. I used a lot of time as well. They got to force a will off of that Atraxa, so I don't think we have any chances at this point. So they did not trigger Oath. They triggered Portal to Phyrexia and returned an Atraxa. There's no DT, but they can just like get another force, I guess. Seven cards in library. Oh, they drew the Gaia's Blessing, putting Time Walk and DT back in the deck. I see. They have 9 cards. They can probably find it. It's kind of funny. This game feels bad. This kind of game feels like the game I would lose as the Oath player. You know, like it feels like the kind of game where I would run out of gas and lose, but I just feel like I'm the one who's always running out of gas and losing in all of my matches recently. But I'm playing a 4 ponder deck, double delve spell deck. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm the idiot. I misplayed in game 1 by not making them play the game out. My bad. Not trying hard enough to win. Okay, here we go. Round 2. I have a cat. My opponent also has a cat. My plans of winning fast to watch the 5th game of the World Finals for League are rapidly flying out the window. Are we playing a Grixis Mirror? Or we lost round 1 to Oath. I guess I should play this Lotus out. It's kind of annoying. I can't like play Frog with Lotus. Oh, this is not a Pyroblast. I see. It's still fine. Kind of my mental recognition just put that on Pyroblast. But this is gonna be good against. I guess it's not good against opposing Frog. Maybe it's okay, like making them discard 2 cards, 1 mana Mind Rot. Basic Swamp. Basic Swamp. I guess I'm getting Bowmastered. Oh, I'm getting Ancestraled. Is this greedy? I guess it was greedy. Oh, I'm playing Frog. I'll play my Lotus Petal. That's okay with me. I think this game is in a really bad spot because my opponent had an Ancestral Recall, but okay. Force. Okay, am I playing wrong? Maybe. Yeah, but that's like these Lurrus mirrors are all just that's how they all go. Now what? The Delve spell? Oh, put Lurrus in hand. That's interesting. Why would you ever do that? Is there a convincing reason to use your Lotus to play a Lurrus in hand? I don't think there is. There's like no reason not to just wait. I mean, maybe if you had a black pitch card or something. I can't do anything about this. I have to use this Lightning Bolt for Lurrus. I wonder if they even have the land for it. Basic Swamp looking pretty good. Perfect. Bait into Twister, maybe. I guess that's a theory. That's not a bad one. Demonic Tutor. Sounds bad for me. I mean, you just asked me a question. How does a list that I don't even know what's in the list beat another list that I don't, I don't know. They're just going to demonic for a wasteland, right? Like, did I play this game badly? I don't know. I'm just getting destroyed. I have no counterplay. Oh, they went for basic island. That's cute. Because they have Pearl to cast Lurrus. Very cute. Oh, the no attack. Bold. Breach. Close. I have a Lotus. But isn't this like, I don't know. This is my, uneducated view of how all Lurrus matchups go. It's whoever resolves Ancestral Recall is just in such an overwhelming position. Oh, I should have I guess they have no cards left, so it doesn't actually matter. Okay, they have 6 mana and a Bowmaster. I have 2 mana and a Breach. Feels pretty good for me. I still have a Lurrus as well. Time Walk. Okay, so I need to hit land drops. I mean, and thankfully this Bowmaster isn't a good card like Dreadhorde Arcanist. Flashback for anybody in chat for 30 minutes ago. Like, this Bowmaster is just not a real Magic card. I don't know. Frog. Wasteland Volcanic. All right, so if I were to go Breach, could I buy Lotus twice? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Oh, so I could go Breach, Lotus, Lurrus. I feel like that's what I'm gonna do. Is that silly? What do I want to leave in my yard? A frog, a lightning bolt, a time walk. Frog and a lightning bolt? Because I can rebuy this breach at any point. Maybe. Underworld Breach is a hell of a Magic card. All right, well, now I feel like I'm winning, which is a little interesting. That's the point where they usually rip a Time Twister and I die. I just like number of cards. They were like, I was waiting to bolt their Lurrus and stuff. Two frogs probably. I guess I should have just wastelanded then. I guess the problem with this line is I don't have Breach Bolt online yet for this Bowmaster. But I mean, I can wait. Probably have to hold this for land mana anyways, and also it hits like a Saga or something. I'm not gonna get to watch the end of the World Championship, am I? All right, so how do these frogs play against one Bowmaster at 13 life? 2 cards in hand. I drew a Treasure Cruise. I need to play a Lotus this turn. So what am I doing with this attack? Can I attack with one? And then the only way my Lurrus dies is a second Bowmaster that they would have had to draw off of Bobble. Or, yeah, I've had to draw off Bobble. I think it's just one. I'm not saying 13 life was the issue. I'm saying I have 13 life as part of the equation. Oh, that's a pretty good one. One, two, 3, 4, 5. It's probably just upkeep push. Take Cracking Lotus. Oh, Frog. Yeah, that's fine. That's also fine. I feel like that's just a free block, and I just get rid of a mental misstep. They're tapped out of black this turn, so... And I'm going to go treasure cruising. Maybe. Or I could buy Breach and play Fatal Push on a Frog. I have too much stuff now. So I can Wasteland and push a Frog. I could just play 2 Lotuses and cruise. I probably should just Wasteland anyways. One, two... I'm definitely taxed a little bit on my graveyard at the moment. I think I'm just going to cast Cruise. Still plays around Pearson Fluster. This feels like a free attack with 1 Frog. And then I could always jump a second Frog if I want. Another Dreadhorde. Do I want to play Jet Dreadhorde? Yeah, I think so. I guess they just hop both Frogs, and then I just have to take it, and then maybe that's bad for me. Yeah, actually, I should have just saved the Dread Horde. Oh, I guess this is fine. Now I can hop a frog. So they have to hop both frogs in attack, and then are they gonna hop it or? I mean, this doesn't make sense, right? Because I just pitch. I guess this gets my card out of my yard, or out of my hand. I mean, this card doesn't do anything. They have no. They had a strategic spell pierce too. Okay. So yeah, I need to do the same thing. Discard, and then I'm just gonna get rid of the 3 cards that don't matter. And then on the next turn, I attack with my Dread Hordes and I push and I win the game. So I guess in the end, it was not the player who resolved Ancestral who won the game. But isn't this also just an exhibit of Orcish Bowmaster doesn't do anything? Deck building diff. Oh. I'm gonna double push. I mean, the game ended like a little bit ago. I think the breach play was the beginning of the end. Whee! Boop. Orcish Bowmaster could never. Oh, nice. I just drew Force of Will. Cool. That's a game 1. I was pretty doomer and gloomer in that game, so pulling that one out of nowhere was nice. I don't really know if I like my opponent's tutor for island play. That was definitely a play that could have gone differently, but okay. I like additional pushes, and I like the Echo Baron special, and I like Fluster. I don't like negation. I don't really like vampiric and mystical. I don't really like spell pierce either. Do I have enough cards to take out? I wanted to see if I could get forces out, but I guess I can't get forces out. I'm gonna change this spell pierce for a trap. Might be controversial, but try this. It's not like I have a bunch of Soul Guide Lanterns or anything in my sideboard. That's definitely something that could help theoretically in this matchup. That's like a way people try to hedge for the mirror. They cut these ley lines and they play something that's like worse against Dredge, but better in this matchup, something like Soul Guide Lantern. So it kind of just depends on like what you want to see in battle in your metagame. I, for one, hate losing to Dredge. Though we are moving away from Dredge now, hopefully, with the recent data suggests people are figuring out that Dredge is not doing very much winning unless you're Lord Beerus. But who knows? A Force of Will hand with not the best mana situation, but blue cantrips. Guess we're keeping it. You would think so, but I don't think so. They do get basic island, basic swamp, which is quite good against our wastelands, so it's very nice. I have a basic island in my deck. True. I do have a basic island in my deck. Kind of awkward here, but pretty sure I have to fetch basic island, so I have a continued chance of playing the game. Also want to get my cantrips down before my opponent starts bowmastering. More likely to pitch Gush to Force, so I think we just draw the Gush, and then next turn we draw the land. Ugh. I was sad the Stern Scolding wasn't a spell snare last game, Andreas versus Oath, but here, obviously, Stern Scolding going to be a bit better. Countering Lurrus and Bowmaster and the Frog. Pros and cons to how you build Magic decks. Part of what makes this game and this format specifically really, really awesome. There's lots of room for you to tinker and make things slightly better. I don't know. Gush is so good with Frog, but maybe it's just not necessary. I could see it. I don't play this style of deck too often. It doesn't really spark a lot of joy from my point of view, but I wanted to test this concept today, so. So my opponent can have Flusterstorm or Spell Pierce or something here. I can't I have a Spell Pierce of my own coming, which I don't actually want, but I don't really have ways to play around this in a meaningful way. It's kind of an awkward spot. Almost wish this was a fetch land so I could play a Brainstorm on their turn. But I guess I wouldn't be able to play Brainstorm if I didn't wasteland their thing, because then they would play a Bowmaster. I'm not sure I have other choices, though, here. This kind of feels like I have to play a Frog. If I'm not, then I'm just losing too much tempo. Resolves. I'm not fighting over this Frog or anything. If they just spend the turn fatal pushing this, I'm okay with that. I don't know if my opponents chose to keep in negation or not. I always don't keep in negation, but I know some people choose to board differently. Something to think about when we start looking for spells to resolve as well. Ooh, is this Gush book? Is this the Gush book? Yeah, I'm gonna go for it. If they Bowmaster, I'll snap force it. I'm gonna have too many cards in hand. Oh, I got Spell Pierced. Yeah, that's fine. That ended up being quite good for me. So, points for Gush. They have 4 cards left in hand. We have 7. Only down 1 land. Not bad. By Lurrus, maybe. They've used 1 Wasteland. Probably bait Wasteland with Saga so that we can keep our Underground Sea. This looks like by Lurrus to me. Sure. We're getting close to this Treasure Cruise. Time Walk. Yeah, that's a real good one here. We don't get dazed. Time Walk and Urza Saga, famous combination gaming. Ooh, Ruby's a pretty nice draw too. It's gonna let us hold up Spell Pierce and make constructs. Oh, they had the Wasteland. We get a 2/2. Not bad. Reasonable trade deal. We get to save our underground city, or underground sea, which I think is the bigger win. I legitimately think a lot of the time your blue-black land is way more important than Urza Saga. I mean, we've kind of seen that with how the data has shown Lurrus decks post-Saga restriction. Just the ability to cast spells is so much stronger than an Urza Saga. Looks like maybe a Delve spell. Really hate Spell Pierce in this matchup, but maybe it's going to get some value. All right, this is a pretty easy force. If they force back, we win heavily. And if they don't, then we still have Cruise to rebuy. Not bad. We are definitely at an advantage in this game so far. The Gush worked out really well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can keep a frog in my yard. Oh. I see. Okay. I have so many choices and they're all so good. I'm decision paralysis here. There's so many good choices. We can go strip mine, we can go DT, we can go cruise. I kind of like resolving cruise right now when they're tapped out though. I actually think I want to save walk ancestral frog. Maybe I should have just strip mined. Strip mine means I can't draw island and hold up spell pierce, but how much does that matter? Maybe this play sucks. Maybe I should just like DT'd for something. I don't know. I made a choice. I'm not saying the choice was right though. In fact, it doesn't feel very good. But I kind of want to have a force. Or that. That's pretty good too. Does this win the game? I can DT for brain freeze. All right, so I have to DT for breach. Breach, no mana. 3 cards, Lotus. So I'm short still. I mean, we should just play Lotus and play Dreadhorde Arcanist. That's good enough. And then we can just flash back Ancestral next turn. Orcish Bowmaster could never. Sorry, I'm a hater. I just missed the damage. I'm just playing on autopilot. There's no reason not to attack with Construct first and take 1 more damage. I have a feeling this is going to get spell pierced, but I'll give it a shot. No. I'm not saying I made a play. I'm saying I was on autopilot. Orcish Bowmaster is resolving in response? Sure. I don't care. Does it look like that card matters? Nope. It's going to get Fatal Push. I'm going to attack. I'm going to draw 3. It's going to be great. They have 1 card left, 2 cards after Bobble. I mostly just want to draw a force and lock the game up that way. See what I draw, though. Kind of an interesting mana situation. Now I don't. Oh, I didn't say that though. That's not that was not the yeah, you're right. I should push in the upkeep probably. It doesn't. I should probably push in the upkeep. That's probably just lethal. Oh, yeah. I mean, most of the time it's yeah. I think there's some legitimate reasons not to push in response to Bobble. I also like don't think if my opponent, I mean, if my opponent missteps mental with fatal push, that's pretty bad. But if they forced it, it wouldn't be that bad. I think there are downsides to the other play. So I have breach, so I can just go, yeah. I assume this is lethal. I didn't actually do any math here. uh, yeah, I can have Spell Pierce back up, so. All right. Pretty clean, pretty easy. Grixis over blue-black. Our deck looked quite good here. This is what I mean, though. I feel like you can build Lurrus, I feel like you can build Lurrus decks that go over the top of blue-black and Esper. Like, my deck is, on a whole, more powerful than what blue-black is doing. Obviously, I sacrifice some consistency. Maybe I sacrifice matchups across the field. But, like, you can build Lurrus decks that beat the current stock Lurrus decks. GG's. Not bad. All right, round 3 gaming versus Discoverin. On the play, have a cat. Opponent does not have a cat. I have push, wasteland, demonic dig. That does not seem like the play. Even though opponent has been playing the Breacher deck that has some targets for push, this is just too much. Try to mulligan this hand. This hand seems slightly better. I don't really think this hand's that good, but Pokemon Pocket's a kind of nice little fun dopamine simulator. Obviously, the gameplay is not too deep, but it's nice to have a little casual thing in your pocket. They're not on Doomsday. They're probably on Breach. But they could be on Doomsday, I guess. I don't really know if you want to keep Brain Freeze in this hand, though. Like, don't you want to mulligan this Brain Freeze away? And yeah, maybe you can mulligan the Dig Through Time away for similar reasons, so... Maybe it's actually fine to put the Dig on the bottom. I can see the vision. All right, wait for our opponent to show up, and I'll see you when they do. All right, here we go. I'm gonna try bottoming the Dig Through Time. My opponent likes to play Doomsday and Breach and stuff, and the Dig Through Time is far from being online. I do just like the idea of Sagaing here, though. And also keeping Brain Freeze means we can draw the Underworld Breach with our Saga getting us a Black Lotus, so... Scalding Tarn. Time Walk Gaming. Could be pretty good later. I'm going to fetch here, just in case my opponent, like, opposition agents me or something. I guess I'm still going to be a bad scenario if my opponent opposition agents me, but... Ooh, is it Doomsday? Do we get rewarded for keeping Brain Freeze? Obviously, Saga's great against Doomsday, too. No, that's a Lotus Petal. Discoverin isn't typically a Lotus Petal Doomsday gamer, so it's probably just Breach with extra lands. Though maybe Lotus Petal is back in Doomsday? Possibly. Not sure yet. Still don't know. It was a tough 1-4 showing last night, I must admit. But we have some Saga clocks here. We have a Time Walk. We've got Negation, Freeze, Ponder, like our spot. But opponent has 8 cards in hand, so could be bad. That's annoying. Looking at our hand for free feels like cheating. Now they get to know that I have the Brain Freeze. Unlike me, who just assumed my opponent had the Brain Freeze, and then they did. Fetch land. Lotus. Uh-huh. All right, Pearl. Okay, so they're definitely on Breach, not Doomsday. I definitely don't feel good anymore. My opponent all of a sudden went up to 5 mana. How's that happen? Yeah, Tinker Gamer. Yeah, it's just the Breach Tinker deck with the Discoverin spin on it. I'm losing to everything. That's what I determined. I determined that it doesn't matter. Are there any good mono white decks in Vintage? Oh boy, you're in luck. There is in fact a playable mono white deck in Vintage. Mono white initiative. Personally, I'm a big fan of cats, but I haven't streamed any cats. So, what is happening right now? Whoa, I F6'd? I didn't really mean to F6, chat. I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, I guess I'm just deterministically dead, right? If my opponent's going for this, because my opponent saw my hand. So I assume I'm just getting pyroblasted. Am I just deterministically dead? Does my opponent just have Breach, Brain Freeze, Lotus, Brain Freeze off of 1 Ponder on turn 2? That'd be a very discovering thing to happen to me. There's no way in hell they would have gone for this if they didn't probe me. Looks like it. Or maybe they're playing Black Lotus. Maybe they're playing Citadel. Nope. Waterlogg's teachings for Brain Freeze kill me. I don't know. Like, what am I supposed to do, man? I'm just getting torn apart by gamers. I had 1 negation. It was not nearly close to being enough, and I died immediately. My opponent looked at my hand, said, "Hey, you're dead," and then killed me. The F6 didn't actually matter because they had the red mana floating anyways, so. It's just a time twister stuff. I mean, it must be nice to have 9 mana on your turn. Oh, they're just hurting me. Whatever, man. I actually showed them no red cards. That's pretty funny. I actually probably misled them with this, but I showed them Brain Freeze, so it doesn't matter. They know my whole thing anyways. I don't know, man. Underworld Breach, One Saga. I'm supposed to just bring in Leyline in this matchup, right? Like, my opponent has 2 Dak Faden, 3 Hull Breacher, and a Saga. But then I lose Lurrus, so it's probably not worth it. Lurrus is definitely good in this matchup. Sag. I mean, I don't even want to change like my deck very much. Maybe I bring in a Flusterstorm and take out a Mystical, but maybe I'll bring in a Trap and take out a Vampiric. But I really actually do like Bolt here, like Pyroblast. I don't really like Push that much, but Ley Lines are a free win. Yeah, I don't think that's true. If I wasn't Lurrus, I probably would bring in Ley Lines here. But the loss is too great. Consign, Scolding, Push, Vampiric. No, I really hate all of these other cards. I don't really want this many Fatal Pushes in my deck, though. I mean, it's still just a 3-2, right? But bring Lurrus in. That is not why Lurrus is good. People unironically say that, though. I do bring in Lurrus in my Cats deck when I bring in Leyline, though. Ghost Vacuum, it doesn't do the thing you need it to do in Vintage. It doesn't really operate on the same axis of attacking yards. It just doesn't have enough power for it in Vintage. You need to just hit the whole yard most of the time. Man, I don't know. My opponent just untapped on turn 2 with 8 mana and natural breach combo with counterspell backup. Yeah, I thought the guides were pretty insane. I was definitely big on the guides. They just turn like your little things into big things, and you need them for the ocelots to go off. They were fantastic for me. So why can't I be like Discoveron and just have a breach in my hand and win the game? Isn't that unlucky? Is it unlucky that I just don't have? Yeah, but that's the part where the 8 mana comes into play. Waterlogged Teachings is only good if you have 100,000 mana, and my opponent had 100,000 mana on turn 2. This is pretty similar to their hand. I just don't have a Brain Freeze, and I, have 4 mana less. I don't really know if you're allowed to keep this hand though. Still try it. This is why I was saying I didn't want this Fatal Push in my deck though. If this Fatal Push was like a blue card instead, isn't it so much better? I don't think Waterlog is strong. I think having a Black Lotus is strong, but I mean, you do you. If I have 8 mana and I cast a spell, I probably am winning the game. Feels weird. Merchant Scroll would also have won the game there and been more useful if you didn't have 8 mana. Mox, Time Walk, sure. I don't really like my hand, but it doesn't feel like I'm supposed to mulligan my hand. We already saw what happened in game 1 when I mulliganed. All right, well, now I have force backup for a frog if I want it. Doesn't really feel like a very strong play, to be perfectly honest, but what else am I doing? Am I just waiting? Maybe I can wait a little bit longer. Try not to use my Lotus. I have a hard cast negation. I mean, they're playing a Hull Breacher, right? I would have loved to be able to Fatal Push this, but it just doesn't seem like I'm going to have that ability. I guess if they Mental Misstep this is fine. So next turn I can like crack, Fatal Push, and Frog. And I still have a Force for a Twister. I guess they could have Force backup for a Twister. Dak Faden. That feels really bad here for me. Now I think I just need to actually crack this and negate it. I need to be able to play around my opponent having a force there. Now I need to draw fetch land. I hate this magic card, bro. What the fuck? I never cast the spells, man. Why can't I just play a fetch land? I should just play a fetch land. It's so much worse than a fetch land. So much worse. Well, yeah, I mean, duh. Okay. I actually have lethal here now, so. No, no, how does he do it? He's a beast. What am I supposed to do? If I counter it, he's gonna untap and twister me. I just know it. But if I don't counter it, he's gonna untap and twister me with force backup. But like, they don't even have to fight over it. They can just hold force and then force my thing, and I'm just dead anyways. Like, it's not good. Like, it's so bad. I don't have counterplay, man. I don't have the counterplays. Like, it's so bad to have to force their play because now I don't have protection for my breach. It's not like they used their protection. Like, now they just have a force for my breach and I can't play the game. Yeah, sure. They got an ancestral anyways. Oh, wait, maybe they just go time walk. 2 ancestrals. Interesting that they played the C out when they could draw like a fetch land. Maybe that means they have a fluster or something. Probably gonna brain freeze myself at end of turn. I don't know. It feels like so hopeless. Doesn't it feel like my opponent is just just slamming the best cards? I'm just sitting here getting destroyed. I mean, Ancestral Time Walk Lotus again. Sapphire, Lotus, Mox. I don't know. Versus Saga makes it so I can't Fatal Push a Hull Breacher if they go for a Twister. Yep, we're dead. I don't know, man. Did I do something wrong? Like, I mean, the Fatal Push being in my deck is definitely bad. But, I mean, it was here to kill a Hull Breacher. I just couldn't cast it because I have an Urza Saga. Again, this is not teaching strat. This is having. Oh my god, I don't understand. Oh, it's fine. Whatever. They just have Black Lotus Breach every game. All right, here we go. Trying to make a comeback here. Stay positive. Find some angles. Make some plays. Against a prospective Jewel Shops opponent? Sorry, I'm keeping this hand. Keeping this one versus Jewel. If I can hit a land and slam a frog, I'll be a happy guy. If I don't, still have forces. Obviously, this bolt doesn't do anything, but it's okay. Obviously, a risky hand, but we have the broken Gataxian Pro. Look at their hand. All right, 6-card hand from the opponent. Show me your secrets. Oh god, it's mono white. I think we're dead. They don't have a very good hand though. Cavern, Witch Enchanter, Wasteland, Petal. If we can resolve a frog, we should just be winning. We're gonna negate this Petal with a Gush. I would probably mulligan this hand as a mono white player. I don't feel like this hand beats very many decks. You're like, if you had an Ancient Tomb, then I would keep it, but I don't really like this hand very much. I guess if your opponent just keeps no lands, though, pretty good. I'm going to have a hard time here if I don't hit a land on the next turn, but it's like a 50-50 each time to hit a mana source, so. Opponent, oh, I'm definitely negating Lotus Petal. That's not close. It's close. Come on, let's battle. Let's do it. I'm ready. I'm here. You have 155 people. I want you to play your Lotus Petal. They're just getting some snacks. It's okay. Do. All right. Gush is gone. Witch Enchanter. Disenchanter. Land. Game. Ah! If I say land game, I'm going to draw Urza's Saga, so I should be a little bit more careful about that. This is fine. Yo, name Cleric and play White Plume Adventure, please. Whoa! Gamers. All right. Problem. Yeah, well, there's no problem. We just jam. I get Wastelanded this turn. I need 4 cards to block. Yeah? Bet. Literally every time. I will make this play every single time. They drew a Solitude. They drew a Solitude. I don't care. They drew Swords to Plowshares. Sure. Oh, they have March of the Otherworldly Light. Sure. This is the second one of those days in a row, Jordan. Okay. Game 2. This hits like nothing, right? It's kind of annoying. Oh, blast. Maybe we keep Spell Pierce on the play. Oh, Archon. I'm in. I did Archon, I'm in. Yeah, I think Consign against ETBs is too cute. Misstep only hits swords. I don't know about Misstep here. Spell Pierce. I guess Spell Pierce is just worse than Consign. Because it does the same kind of thing, except they can also do other stuff. Seems reasonable. Oh, yeah. If we had hit land on the first turn, yeah, there's a lot of other ways that game could have gone, but tis what it is. Consign the Throne of the Throne. What is it called? Throne of the Throne? I don't remember what it's called. Throne of the Dead? Didn't sound right, but maybe. Well, we can go look at the dungeon information. Yeah, Throne of the Dead 3. What? Throne of the Dead 3? Why 3? Maybe I'm supposed to play fetch land here, but nope. Not a chance. 0%. Not happening. Nope. Illegal. Orcish Bowmasters could never. Orcish Bowmasters could never. I'm just gonna say that all day. Yep. Gaming. It's about damn time. Have you seen what my opponent's been doing to me the last 2 days? I gotta get something. Fuck. They kept 7, and I did not. No, chat. It's all ogre. We're so dead. This hand doesn't do anything. I guess we just try to combo. Doesn't seem very likely, but I'll give it my best shot. Thalia? Thalia is actually pretty good against the Lotus Petal combo. It's not actually, it doesn't do anything against the Black Lotus combo, but it does do things against the Lotus Petal combo, which is pretty funny. March of the Otherworldly Light hits Breach, actually. It's pretty sick. I didn't know they still played March of the Otherworldly Light. Thought people were back onto like Swords and Solitudes and stuff, but hits Oath, so. Oh. Well, my idea of going for the Breach combo is no longer a thing. I don't even have like a Shattering Spear or anything in my deck. So now we are on the find a Psychic Frog play. Okay. Hopefully I don't play like Cavern 3-drop. Korakis. Korakis. What is your 3-cost creature? I could just go Mystical Ancestral and just let this happen. Pretty... Like, we do need to beat this creature with creatures because I can't kill a Chalice. So I can't actually Breach kill. But... I just have nothing if I don't go for an Ancestral, so... I'm probably going to also go for a Volcanic. Well, I drew 3 lands. Okay, sure. Yep. I don't have swords. I have fatal pushes. About to take 10. I didn't even draw a blue card for force, man. I can't even Breach Ancestral. I don't know. I mean, I got lucky last game, but this game, it all went away. Now I can't even make the Underworld Breach Ancestral line. Fuck. I thought about getting an Underground Sea there, but it didn't look right. But that is like the one card I could draw that makes it good. Oh, I'm just dead, right? Yeah, okay, cool. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I think I'm done for the day. I don't want to really play more Magic than I it's just not gone very well. I don't think I'm cut out to play these control decks. It just doesn't feel like I'm doing anything strong. My opponents just jam stronger cards than me and overpower me, and I have no choices. Like, when I draw Ancestral, sure, it's good, but if you don't, I don't know. Maybe I'm just like not keeping the right hands, or maybe I'm just unlucky and mulliganing the wrong, into the wrong stuff, drawing the wrong cards. I'm not really sure. Like, obviously, when we played the Lurrus Mirror against Blue-Black, we did great, but when we played against every other deck, we were just completely overpowered. I'm really lost. I don't really understand, because when I play all of these other decks that I'm getting beat by, my games do not go remotely the way these games went. When I go, I get my like 1 or 2 payoff spells countered, and then I lose the game. But when I play against these other decks, they just run me over. I don't know what that means for me for Eternal Weekend. Maybe I just have to jam Oath or PO or something and try to run hot. If maybe that's just the whole format, because I try to play these controlling decks that should be good against that style of play, and I can't get it to work. Not sure. More vintage content like this Monday, Wednesday, Friday, YouTube channel. See you then.